we were listening to some discussions because we had some good debates in this competition altogether. Somebody was saying, my SLAs are good, my customer satisfaction ratio is good, but when I overall check with the customer, the feedback is not good. Data is good, IT cost savings are good, SLAs are good, but overall the customer is not satisfied. You know the reason why? Because the processes which were implemented, the products which were used, were not catering all the aspects of the customer's requirement. I'm just coming to your example. You quoted very well that in an airline, I just need to build up an application which talks about surveys of the customer. Correct? Is that what you were saying?
There is a specific product which basically airlines need, which is called as a loyalty program. This is basically what it does. It kinds of tracks history of how passengers are aligned to their organization,
correct,
so that they can give them reward points, like
correct,
fire points, and then accordingly send them offers,
correct,
discount and all that.
Correct. So in that, they would be, before developing that product, they would be looking at all the overall aspect of the particular product which is being developed. Like if I talk about the customers, in which geographies the customers are, what is their travel frequency, what is the number of times they are traveling in business or economy. But this is just one part of it. When you develop this application, you need to ensure that if I am developing this application customer loyalty program, whatever returns or feedback I get from the customer, I would be getting some expectations out of it. Is my airlines capable enough to meet those expectations? Like, can we agree the SLA with the customer if we are capable of having the SLA of delivering the SLA of 90%, 95%, we agree 82% with the customer. Because today, if I agree upon 95%, the expectations would be set with the customer and I'll have to deliver more than that going forward. And that is what my point is. When you are doing the loyalty application development, in that case you will have to see, you have to design it in such a way that whatever more facilities are being required to be given to the customers from the airlines, that needs to be developed in such a way they are meeting their expectations. The customer should not send us any feedback, and if we are not able to meet that, there would be of no use of developing that application. So you, before developing or designing that application, or the clauses or the policies you put around it, should be in such a way that it overall caters the requirement of the customer. I'll just give you a brief example of one of the architecture for the framework for the application architecture, enterprise architecture. Like if we talk about TOGAF, it focuses upon these major areas. Requirements is in between. That is what the requirements are. You have the architecture vision, you have the business architecture, information systems architecture, technology architecture, opportunities and solution, migration planning, implementation governance, and architecture change management. And this is all preliminary framework and the principles which we have in TOGAF. So what is that? This framework is capturing all the different aspects of a product which is going to be developed, or the services which are going to be provided to ensure that we are having an overall look on the organization, and based upon that only we come up with our conclusion that okay, this product will land into the right category. I gave you an example of the IT infrastructure part as well. So this is from the application development perspective. This is from the infrastructure management perspective. And I believe these are the two major domains which we have in our enterprises nowadays, in our IT organizations. Either we are into IT infrastructure management or we are into application management. Obviously, consulting is there in both these cases.
One thing which you need to basically, I'm not sure, Mohit, is just I'll answer this question and then definitely we can. So not sure if you are getting the point is that what is enterprise architecture work which we are talking about? Because if you see in this TOGAF mechanism, it's talking about the various architecture which you are doing, and this will definitely still happen in a regular product development. That is about looking architecture and all that. Enterprise architecture is one level above. You are trying to see if your examples which you were giving, SLA and all that, will anyhow get taken care of in the product development. And the other issue which you again mentioned was that
SLA is not in product development.
That is what you actually have mentioned, that we need to worry about all those. So yeah,
I was just correlating with infrastructure management services and product development. So SLA is not in product development.
It is again. That is where the thin line is, where CMOI comes into picture and all that. Even I used to think exactly the same, like you thinking SLA means only service level management of ITL, and that's when my eyes opened. They said, boss, SLA is actually not only that that only the 99% uptime or ticket should respond. In product development also you have SLA like, I want an application which loads the page in 2 seconds. These are the initial requirements which are kind of specs which they are getting, but only thing is these are...
Sorry sir, this is not from the product development. If the application is loading within 2 seconds, that is the complete responsibility upon the infrastructure on which application is hosted upon. Application is like whenever it's open, it is giving me the facilities which is supposed to do. Application, if it is coming up on the screen within 2 seconds, lies on the web server, which is the part of the infrastructure. Please be clear. I mean, just to
yes. So what you have mentioned again, that is where I am saying there are certain requirements which even product development will anyhow take care of. They need not go to the EA group to ask. They will anyhow still be contacting the service management office for the existing requirement. You really don't need a separate enterprise architecture group and to perform it. Another important point which you again need to understand is that, as I told you about that, here the enterprise architecture's work is not only reviewing, this is a next level of architecture which they are talking about, and this is where I was talking to you, that all businesses don't have ERPs, or there are not multiple ERPs in business. Like take for example this particular program which I spoke to you about, very
Vijay, one second, you said next level. What is the next level?
Okay. So see, there are, again, that's where I am coming from, that you need to understand the various IT services available within an organization. So there are two kinds of, at a high level I would say, are services. One is basically business services which are specifically oriented to the business requirement, and there are these basically again at a high level which are nothing but your collaboration services, which definitely have an impact across organization, which many of you guys know. Collaboration could be email, Active Directory, domain. So these particular products which have organization corporate wide impact. But coming to when we are talking about business services, there are certain business services like take for example your Oracle HR system. Sorry, not it can be Oracle, it can be SAP, whatever. It may have an organizational wide impact, but products like which I spoke to you about, specific programs which have been built in Java, client server, modules like the one which I was talking about. There are so many amounts.
Tell me one product which is developed in an organization, whether it is in-house for internal use of the organization or outside for different customers, which is just developed without any purpose.
Mohit, again, that's where I am saying.
If you talk about HR applications, which are in-house applications, they are used to cater to the people who are within the organization. Don't you think that should be having all the features which caters the overall vision of the organization from the HR perspective? So your profile system on your HR portal within your organization, doesn't it has all the details of you? Doesn't it realizes that HR captures all the relevant details which you are supposed to be having? Your financial system where you can see your salary slip. Don't you think before it was developed, all the different aspects of the organization were kept into the picture before doing that? All the different aspects means what employer wants, what finance team wants to disclose, on which server they will be hosted upon, what database they would be running, what would be the high availability of that database, how much fund would be required in order to host that application. Then you are looking at all the enterprise level aspects. What is the use of developing a product which is of no relevance, and we are just developing it for our fun purpose? Apart from certain testing things which
you
are
not able to give me any example right now where you are trying to give enterprise-wide. Please try to restrict your example to enterprise-wide, because the examples which you are giving are functional specs.
No.
I am trying to restrict your example.
Okay, what do you mean by enterprise?
Yes. So that's
when we talk about enterprise architecture.
So I'll come
but before we go ahead, I just want to know if we are running out of time, we'll swipe roles. If not, we'll continue.
So now on the other side. All right. complexity is increasing. Cloud computing, which we were talking about, we are talking of moving to next level, which is the cloud kind of environment. And more businesses want to move on to shared services environment, a server on which applications are residing for multiple vendors, for multiple organizations, a same box being used by multiple clients. And this is where I would like to firstly explain on what I really mean by enterprise architecture and why it gets important. Earlier, applications were specific, sitting in-house within the organizations. But now era is changing. Same application which was, like take for example in case of ICICI Bank. They had a banking application which they had built for themselves. They realized this is a very good solution, and ICICI Infotech said, why not I start offering this solution as a product itself to my other vendors. Soon now this product basically is not only being used in-house but by multiple vendors. So now any change made to this product not only has impact on one organization but also it has impact on multiple organizations. So complexity is definitely increasing, and with this increased complexity, the demand for enterprise architecture increases drastically. Coming to the next aspect, this is a very good picture which we have, which is a kind of an organization where IT teams kind of behave and work within the organization. There is another team which is on the right side, if you see here. This team is struggling because there is a hole in the boat. They are trying to remove the water and they are trying to fix certain things. And there is another group which is sitting, we don't think it matters to us. From our side everything is good, there is no water. But they don't realize this ship is going to, or this boat is going to sink because it's a complete teamwork. And this is where the need for enterprise architecture comes into picture, that we all are required, and if it is not reviewed from an overall perspective, this can really take a backstep. Enterprise architecture has to really look from four important aspects, the 4 C's of enterprise architecture. Customer, connectivity, the biggest aspect in enterprise architecture. Third, collaboration, because enterprise applications primarily are collaborative applications, having impact organization-wide, be it ERP like Oracle, SAP applications, be it the mail system, the payroll system, the Active Directory system, the authentication system. These applications are really having wide impact organization-wide, and if not thoroughly studied and structured from the enterprise architecture point of view, it can have really a serious impact. Enterprise architecture, one of the major benefits, what they basically do is that they look at what is reusable. Many times what will happen is, because organizations within the same company are working in silos, they wouldn't realize that some team has already developed some reusable components, frameworks, which this particular product development team, which is developing a product now, could in fact actually use those reusable components, frameworks. There might be certain already shared data which might already be available and getting access. Because I'd like to quote an example here. We had one application which required basically the employee information. Direct access to employee information is not given or not authorized, permitted for other applications, because it will directly impact the authentication system. So the need was that the data has to be basically taken from the authentication system, and they agreed that okay, what we can do is we can give it in form of a dump and we can paste it on a particular location so that applications can take form. So here the fact was a new product application, and this was done already for an earlier application. Now for a new product which was getting developed, they weren't aware of this, and they again started investing money and effort in how to again pull the employee information from that system. That is where the enterprise architecture team came into picture, and they said, guys, you really don't have to redo this again. This whole setup, bridge process, loading process, data process is already there. Just basically repoint this particular, use this particular product and framework, and then you should be able to really run the show. So it's very important that enterprise architecture is considered when product development is taking picture. A quick view from a statistical point of view. This was basically done by the Mary Fraud from Gartner. And what they have found is that benefits resulting from technical architecture, and we can see that they were able to like really benefit from the ability for the shared data. They were able to use those shared functional components, lower development cost, reduce time. This were really on the scale of like